Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gamification Revolution. I'm your host, Gabe Zuckerman. Hi, it's 2015. Everybody, it's 2015. It's an amazing moment to be alive. Can you believe it? I am very excited to be here with you. It's been a couple of months since we've seen each other last at a live one of these. Of course, for those of you who've been here before, welcome back. It's so nice to have you back. The community is amazing around this show. It's been amazing to follow everybody chatting, and it's so nice to see everybody here. Michael, David, Lori, Dutch, Sasha. Woo! It's like a reunion, right? And so great to have you guys all back. And for those of you who are new to Gamification Revolution, welcome for the first time. You will need to log in using one of your social media credentials. That will be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever they offer you in this FreeCast platform. You're going to need to log in using one of those credentials to make sure that you're able to participate in our discussion today. And once you've logged in with one of those credentials, you can actually click those buttons that you see around you, camera or ask a question, and you can use either of those tools to actually come on camera, ask me questions, ask us questions, get involved in the dialogue, and we can talk about engagement, gamification, things which you find interesting and compelling. But yeah, this time is for you. Now, our guest for this week, Rimon, the CEO of GamEffective, has a lot to say about gamification um, and the use of it in CRM. And I'm very excited to have him on the call, on the chat today. Of course, we're having some technical challenges. It's not easy. I think Gal's on the other side of the world right now. They're trying to make everything work. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him on the show shortly. If not, we'll have him on next week. But in the meantime, I've got lots of things to tell you. I'm sure you have lots of questions to ask. There's so much to talk about, so we're going to talk about it. And I'm also excited to be back regularly. Okay, so let's start off with like a little goodie. Let's start with a tiny little goodie for you guys who are here for the first time or here coming back, because I feel like you should be among the first people to know. So more or less, here's the deal. Everybody's been asking, what's happening with G Summit 2015? What are the dates? When is it happening? Is it going to happen? What's going to go on? So I want you, Gamification Revolution people, our viewers, those of you who are watching us live, and of course those of you who are listening to this on a podcast or are re-listening to this later on by Freecast, to be the first people to know that we are going to have G Summit 2015. It's going to be in the fall. So it's choosing a new time of year, probably October. We're just finalizing the dates for it and the location for it. It's not going to be in the same location in San Francisco. It's been in the past. That venue is actually being demolished, if you can imagine the insanity of that, but that has nothing to do with us. They are not demolishing it because they don't like gamification, but we've got to find a new location for G Summit. So we're just working hard on finding a new location that will work for us for this year. Of course, David immediately, Vegas. I'm sure many of you would like to do it in Vegas. I am not opposed to doing it in Vegas. I just don't think, for those of you who've been there, I don't know that G Summit vibe, the G Summit energy is exactly suited for a big Vegas hotel. I'm sure we could all have a lot of fun in the evening going to Las Vegas together. It would be a real trip, and it would be also interesting to be, front and center of the gaming industry, the gambling industry, and how it handles, questions of engagement. But it's probably not exactly the right vibe. And for those of you who've never been there before, that G Summit is this event. It takes place usually over 3 days. It's an event of tremendous collaboration and interaction. We talk about, so many of the different things that are affecting the engagement industry and bring together people from all these different corners of the world, including people on the employee side, people on the marketing side, people from all over, all spectra of gamification come together for this one event. And so the energy, it's very important that the whole thing, the energy be really cohesive and people have an opportunity to actually interact with each other and engage, right? For those of you who've been there, you know how meaningful that. And we're back. Now, I wonder whether or not Gal can hear us. Gal, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
little bit. This is amazing. This is amazing. It's like magic. It's like the future.
Yeah, so this world is too small for both of us, apparently.
Yeah, as soon as you and I are both on the internet, it breaks.
Yeah,
So, like Kardashian for the gamification internet.
yeah. I prefer
So
to be Kanye West, yeah, but you know.
okay, listen, I've never looked at your butt. I don't know if it's a Kim butt or a Kanye butt. I can't tell you, but we'll go with whatever you want. So it looks like you're somewhere dark. Where are you right now?
Currently, I'm in Israel.
Fantastic. The place that matches your accent. Gal, welcome. And all of you, welcome Gal. He's the CEO and a founder of GamEffective. Okay, so Gal, maybe we can just jump into this right away. So, because people I'm sure are really super curious. You know, CRM, any kind of Salesforce automation or CRM product is only as powerful as what people actually do with it, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges, I have the same challenge all the time. It's like, oh my God, I've got this shiny new tool that I'm supposed to use. And then it's like, oh, I forgot to use it all the time. So can you tell me how we might use gamification to kind of bridge the gap, or how GamEffective bridges the gap there?
Okay, thank you, and sorry for the technical difficulties. And I think first is what not to do. I think that after the magic of the top 10 leader in the leaderboard will fade, after 2, 3, 4 weeks, we need to ask ourselves, why do we pay big money for salespeople? Are we using this money for them to crunch the numbers and put the information into Salesforce just for us managers? I'm trying to talk on the perspective of the managers. And I believe that the answer is no. Nobody likes to put data, especially competitive people like sales representatives or sales managers. So we try to understand what they want to do or how can we help them do it better. And like everything in the world, we spoke about Kanye and Kardashian, the truth is in the middle. So let's say that you would like to promote people to convert leads into opportunities. And this is the first the metric that you would like to measure. So after everybody will understand that this is the measure or the metric, everybody will convert even things that are not worthy to be converted. On the other hand, if you measure only sales, everybody will report just by the end of the quarter about the sales. So you will lose anyway if you will not create a balanced performance management. But when during the 90s and 2000s, we deployed many performance management systems, and it didn't work well because we lost the engagement part. And I think that gamification brings both the performance management together with I'm the hero of the game. I know what is important for the company, and this is what important for me. So when I'm progressing and achieving more points and more levels, and I'm progressing, then I can see my performance improved. There should be match, and it's not just I sold 40,000 and I'm on the leaderboard and that's it. So I think
So
this is the first step.
So there's kind of like so it's interesting, right? Because there's both sides of the coin. There's the poorly designed incentives, right, which
Yeah,
often happen in organizations, A- and then there's also the poorly designed disincentives in a way, or lack
yeah.
of disincentive. So can you talk a little bit about what's the process in the GamEffective platform? How do you solve this particular problem? Because I think anyone who's managed a sales team ever is very aware. They're aware of the problem you're talking about.
Yes. And the best thing about CRM and CRM processes, not just system, is that it is measurable. Everybody for decades measure sales, measure the performance, measure the process. So we are starting point is very good as gamification designers is very good because we can understand what we should measure, unlike more complex scenarios like social engagement, etc., that we don't sure what to measure, what will bring a success. So the
Right.
first thing is the goal creation. So we put the right goals, the right targets, and then we try to allocate them according to the different characteristics of the players. So let's say that you got 4 or 5 different types of players. You got new hires, you got the top achievers, you got the top third and the bottom third, or let's take four different categories, and then you got 2 channels. One is email, one is phone. So you got 8 categories. Then you need to create the fit or the perfect design that matches new hires. It should be, easier to start. It should focus on the process, less on the performance. And for the top achievers, maybe you would like that they will help other people. So the different design must fit the characteristics of the players.
So that's a very interesting idea. How do you always use the same kind of like player band? Is it like the same in every instance, or is that like customized by the environment?
I think that let's talk 2014, 2015. It would be customizable. I still don't think that we can launch a click, 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 next, next, next solution that will fit all the organizations, and you will choose 4 or 5 parameters and it will play. I believe that it would be during next year that we will gain much more practice. And again, I think that there is a lot of practice of bringing leaderboards, badges, and points into the CRM solutions. I don't believe in it. I think that, by the way, 80% of our solutions doesn't contain leaderboards whatsoever. Okay, so you can see that you are what is your position, but not versus X or Y, but it would be versus your last month's performance,
Okay.
versus your targets.
Is that somewhat controversial when you go in and work with sales teams? Because I feel like part of the reason why those absolute leaderboards exist is because VPs of sales, because of the way their brains are wired, they think that that's how you drive performance. How can you talk about how that actually works, like when you interact with companies that you've worked with?
Yes, when you got small teams, I think leaderboards can fit, but again in a different way. Let's take a small team of 100 and divide it into 4 or 5 teams, okay? And
Okay.
then let's take a car race scenario. Instead of just taking your players and each player is a car and it would be I'm the fifth and you're the 15th and etc., and it would be boring because we got a full month or a quarter, and I'm when I'm lagging, so I will lose interest in the gamification experience. I will lose interest if I'm not at the top 10, not top 10%, top 10. I will lose interest. So instead of this, we first create a design of I'm the hero of the game. And like in a qualification round, in almost any sport, you got a qualification round. We create a qualification round. And in the qualification round, you can see maybe averages. But if you qualify, and let's take 50% will qualify every week, 50%. And there would be different 50% because the targets are different. The past history, the past performance is different. So the comparison and the benchmark can be different. So each week I am able to qualify. After I qualify, I join the race. So let's take the first week. 5 days we create the qualification round. I will sell, I will close deal, I will convert deals, I will put the right data in the CRM system, etc. And after 5 days, when I see all my performance and I achieve my targets for this week, I will join the race. The race will be short, and then we are able, when you know I will reach in the race to a specific place, I will gain points.
What is the
New week.
race?
Sorry.
What is the race that you're talking about? Is it literally like, do people actually play a racing game? What does that actually mean?
No, I don't think that gamification contains real game, like, joysticks. But my car, I will build my car or my baseball team, or in singing contest, I will sing in the qualification round, and I will try to achieve my targets. And I'm the hero. I'm still in the box, like when I'm playing PlayStation at my room. I'm the hero of the game. In GTA, I'm playing alone. I'm not playing with everybody else. So I'm playing with my targets. And then we will put, after the qualification round, we will add the social engagement, the public recognition, because I will join the race and everybody will see me and other cars, and we will be able, to win or lose, to experience this sensation of winning or losing. And after this, there will be a podium and a small party and a TV show, they will see the faces of maybe of the winners, and they will change all the time because the targets are different and the benchmarks are different. Next week, it will start all over again. And there would be a league, but every week we will shorten the process, the 3 months or the 6 months gamification process to sprints of a single week. And it is amazing. We notice that the difference, the same company, the same players, different design, the, the, the results were amazing. The difference in the result was
And
amazing
I,
because it
I
wasn't
actually
just a
want to,
simple.
yeah, I want to talk about results actually in 1 second. But before we talk about results, so just so we understand kind of what the game effective experience is like. So there's like a week of private play, and then
Yeah.
something that looks like a stage where it suddenly becomes more public. Is that the concept?
Yeah, it will open, and then you will see. So this is one design, but we start to believe that you must put the player in the middle and not straight with 500 people around him, and I'm number 250 or even 500. I will be at the top 10%. I still be number 50. What are the odds of number 50 to be in the top 10? Zero. Okay? So
Right.
I lose interest and I'm at the top 10%. So you're losing 95% of the players.
So this is very interesting, Gal, because actually, if I'm understanding your vision for this correctly, I think you've stumbled on a very interesting insight, which is instead of motivating highly competitive people with like
That's right.
strict achievement,
Like you and
what
me.
you're really focused, yeah, you're focused on avoiding demotivating them by putting them in situations where they're bound to lose. Is that a
Yeah, that's right. Because
that
maybe
is
if you
very
are a top performer, I will create different targets for you. You will need to help new hires, and those would be your challenges at the same game. So let's talk about level design. We both understand a little bit about gaming, real gaming. In gamification, 99% of the designs that I saw, levels were only for reputation. Only for reputation.
right,
In games, level designer, this is a game designer, is not a game designer, is a level designer. So a level is different. So if you are a top performer, you will be at level 5, then your targets would be much more. Maybe even the goals would be different. You will need to
right.
help new hires. Okay? unlike new hires, so you can keep new hires and best performers in the same game.
Right, and that I think is also very interesting, right? And we really need software to be able to do this because we could
That's
never
right.
do this by hand. I mean, this was much too complicated. So
Exactly.
Lori, a couple questions in the queue, and then I want to talk about results for a second. So Lori's curious: is the data still being entered by the individual reps? So is this still the standard setup of the reps are sitting down in front of Salesforce or whatever and doing it?
So first, I'll put another aspect. The short answer is yes. The long answer is in most of the organization, especially the larger one, we try to focus on large organizations. Most of our clients are Fortune 2000, and any person in those type of organizations, even smaller organizations, need to work with different systems. They got the knowledge collaboration systems like Atlassian, they got CRM systems, they got maybe calling, they got social engagement, Chatter, Yammer, Jive, they got e-learning solutions, and we try to combine all of those experiences together. So let's say that you got a problem with retention. Your customers live in you. Okay, so the problem, your retention gauge is red. So in gamification, usually you're using the stick. Okay, you lose points. Okay, I got the stick on the back. Instead of that, we try to add corrective activity like a simulation, a quiz, a video that you need to watch. And if you will see the video, you will learn what is the best scenario, what are the best tips and tricks for better retention or better working better with your customers, and then there would be a short quiz to ensure that you understood. Then you will receive back 50% of your points. So first, I click on a button in your mind that you understand you got a problem with retention. Second, you're doing something actively. You're not looking just at your car going up, down. You are doing something. And third, you're learning. Fourth, we ensure that you learned. Okay, not just a video that we sent you. It will be a quiz or a simulation. So we are closing the loop, and you will be a better salesperson.
Right. So it's really almost like it's really like a hybrid of kind of performance and training
Yeah.
together in a way, right? Like tracking performance, responding with training. Is the Game Effective platform, does it replace the CRM or does it live in on top of the CRM or in parallel to it?
Always on top. I don't believe that we can replace CRM systems. We're using, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle, Sales Cloud, and even proprietary. So homegrown systems. We got a very sophisticated integration layer that enables you to integrate with any system and many systems at the same time, but we never want to replace, CRM systems. It's a different competency.
So the question from Michael, like Lori, one of our very regular viewers. So Michael's wondering, how were you inspired to come up with this design? And I remember earlier in our chat, you mentioned, you talked about kind of many of the failures of engagement in the
Yeah.
90s and 2000s with new tools like CRM and SFA. What's your story, and how did you arrive at this kind of design idea, this innovation?
I We look at three pillars of, let's call it the engagement funnel, the employee engagement funnel. The first pillar is the awareness. You need to be, as employee, you need to be aware what is important for the organization. What is the characteristic of the perfect salesperson? So we help you or help the manager to communicate it with many nice tools, engaging and fun tools, so you will be aware. The second part, or maybe it's part of the first part, it's the onboarding process. It's the learning. So you need to learn that this field, the company is X, Y, Z, and you need. This is the way that you convert. This is the way that you bring the PO and close the opportunity and make it a win. Okay, so this is the onboarding or learning how to sell. So the
Right.
first part is onboarding and awareness. The second part, and usually in gamification, all gamification, the focus is on the first part. Click on here, you have a win, especially in social engagement. One click or one post, 10 points, etc., and it's getting boring after 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So the
Sure.
second part is the doing, the engagement, the actual engagement. So we analyze, of course, your benchmarks, your statistics, not just one win, but if you manage to win a lot of deals, but your pipeline is relatively low, then it's unbalanced. So we try to help you balance. We try to give you tools to focus you on the new products, on the weak spots, etc. So the second part is the engagement and doing, and the third part is the social engagement and helping others and bringing others to the same platform. So there are three pillars for improving the CRM practice, not the CRM system, CRM practice. Usually, the gamification experience focusing on the first parts.
So, and were you personally like, did you run sales teams, or how did you personally end up kind of putting this together?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in my career, I led dozens, if not hundreds, of salespeople, and as manager, my frustration was not about their quality. It was at least 50% of my ability to report maybe to the board of directors or managers if I was in larger companies. What are my, how will I complete the quarter? Okay, what are my projections? And everybody knows that CRM systems full of junk, full of sandbags, and salespeople don't like to kill opportunities. They don't like to close lost leads and opportunities. And
Right.
one of our best solutions is the cleansing, not a single project of cleansing, but a whole process. So if you got three players in your best baseball team, the gamification baseball team, one of them would be closing deals, the other would be building pipeline or quality of sales, and the third would be the quality of your pipeline. So we start for every lead with a specific amount of points, and after the time, that there is 2 weeks to bring the lead to the next stage, then the point starts to go down rapidly. So now you need to decide as a player, should I promote it because I believe that it is a good deal, and then I will go to a higher ground and higher potential to win more points or etc. Or should I kill it? And then I will win points for killing it, because if time will pass and I didn't kill on time, I will lose those points. And it will go for 5 steps. So one of the best, by the way, as a SaaS, SaaS startupist, um, one of the best metrics are velocity of qualified leads. So we try, if we will not have this metric accurate, we will not know how to measure MRR or any other. So we
Right.
don't know how to manage our sales team and sales practice.
So can you talk a little bit about results, before we run out of time? So what are some of the most interesting things that you've seen? What are some of the things that you've observed in running Game Effective in your experience that have been really extraordinary or interesting?
First, I think that there are two fields that behave differently. The field of actual results, the number of calls, sales, closing, average handle time, let's call them the more hard and tangible metrics. And we usually on around between 5 to 15%. But the goal is to keep the numbers, to create the sustainability. Because most of the time we gain those numbers easily. Even with poor gamification design, we can gain those numbers because we light the flashlight, the projector put the light on the right spot so everybody behaves. But the question is what happened after 1 month. And usually we need to create level progression and much more complex gamification design elements. And when we're talking about, actually, I'm a process guy, and I believe that everything starts with the process. And in process engagement, we manage usually to double or even triple the numbers. And I believe strongly that if you manage to put a boost in the tangible metrics, average handle time, number of calls, conversion rate, etc., you will give 5-10%. You will go up 5-10%. And at the same time, immediately or together, you will work on the process. You will improve the learning. Salespeople don't like to learn.
Right.
They want to have additional meeting. They don't learn. They don't know the product, the new products. They don't understand the differentiators of you're working, you put in millions of dollars in products, and your salespeople don't know how to sell those products. Okay, so learning and social engagement are very important. So we must work hand to hand. So it's not just CRM or e-learning. They are tied together like the example. You have a problem with retention, you click, you learn, you improve your gamification position, and you continue selling.
Right. So I think it's a very kind of interesting thing. And actually, you've written a really great article that we posted on Gamification Code just the other day about the top 9 best practices in the gamification of CRM. And just sort of before we run out of time, I just kind of want to jump back to this one, which your point number 2 was concentrate on driving small actions. And one of the small
Yeah.
actions, right when we started, was the whole idea of just even getting people to like input stuff into the system. Can you just give us a couple of like quick tips about how do we get people to really grind like that or do those small actions that you found
Yeah.
works for highly independent people like salespeople?
Yes. So I call it baby steps because it's very, when you're calling your employee and you say, you should be smarter, you should sell more, you don't give him tools. It's nothing, you're a bad manager. And if you say, on each lead, on each conversation with the customer, you need to write the next task. Okay? You need to write the next task with this customer. And by the way, if you don't have next task, you should close the deal. Okay, the opportunity. So the next task, and this would be a very tiny effort for everybody. And we learned. This is a current process that we are running with one of the largest software companies in the world, and we managed to triple the number of tasks per opportunity. And after 1 month, we by the way, we didn't put focus on the performance at this step, but we measured the performance, and the performance improved by around 10%. And we didn't put the focus on the performance. And I think that this is amazing, because when you give somebody the tools, I think it's everything. Because if you just measure the performance and you lose the process, sometimes, by the way, you will cause problems. People will try to cut corners, and it might be a double-edged sword.
So, so great. Well, I really want everybody to take a closer look at some of the stuff that you've talked about. One quick question though, before we run out of time. This one from Ken, which is how do we connect cash incentives and these baby steps? And actually, that and I want you to just talk briefly about it a little bit bigger. We haven't talked at all about the cash incentive part of this experience. I hope you're getting a prop.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
we
yeah.
haven't.
Always, like a bullying,
Props are great. Yeah, that's a nice
Okay,
with
so
gift, right? So
yeah,
connect the
it's
dots
very
for us
good.
about cash compensation and how your experience, how
Okay.
this affects cash compensation.
Okay, so personally, I don't like it, but especially with salespeople, they like it. So you don't go against. And we try first not to create a direct allocation. You close $10,000, you receive $100 or a Lagavulin. Um, because there is a compensation plan, and I don't want to compete with the compensation plan. So we usually try to create special um, competitions, contests, even sometimes raffles that you need to achieve. Let's say that you launch a new product and you would like to focus everybody on the new product. So the contest would be, there would be the full gamification and a small contest for 3 weeks. And by the end of the contest, the people that achieve their target will go to the raffle, and then they will win the whiskey. Because anyway, in many organizations, large organizations, there are problems with allocating cash directly, especially large telecommunication companies. There are many problems if you don't put it under the regulations. So we try to add things like raffles, like surprises, and not tied to directly. This is one let's call it tip. The second tip is to work with virtual stores. So you got a card, and when you reach a specific level, your cash card you will receive cash in your card, and then you can go to Amazon. You can go we can link you to perks. Systems, and usually it works as well, but it will never replace good gamification design.
I think that's a great place to wrap it up, Gal. Thank you so much. For those of you who are interested in finding out more, of course, we posted the link to the article on the web and a link directly to GameEffective. It's or GamEffective.com. There's only one E in the middle. And you can follow Gal and the company on Twitter at GameEffective or GamEffective and at Gal Rimon. And of course, you can follow me at GZakerm online. We're going to be back next week with more Gamification Revolution at the same time and place. Thanks again, Gal, very much. So nice to have you with us. And
Thank you.
and thanks to all the rest of you for joining us here on the Gamification Revolution. We'll see you next week. In the meantime, keep having fun, everybody. So long.